Happy Saturday, everybody. This is Dr. Erica L. Coleman, and this is 8 days before Christmas. And unfortunately, a horrible tragedy happened this week um, in which Stephen Twitch, boss, who used to work for Ellen DeGeneres, took his own life. And there's a lot of questions surrounding this because Twitch was just the embodiment of hope and happiness and love. And no one had any idea of the internal struggle that he was dealing with that caused him to take his own life almost 2 weeks before Christmas, leaving a wife, three children, his parents, um, grandparents, and other relatives and friends. And of course, there's a lot of speculation going on about this. But here's what I want to say. Um, because, people are saying, how could he, you know, do this? What would drive him? He was so happy. He had it made. He had it all. Um, One of the things that I want people to do is to go back and to read the BuzzFeed article that came out this year about the Ellen DeGeneres show that really was the catalyst for her show going off the air. For years, she had championed this whole thing about be kind to one another. Um, on air, Ellen appeared cheery. Just the definition of sunshine. But then, we learned that behind the scenes, that was not the case, that she was, and the operation that she was in charge of was a cloud of misery for a lot of people. Remember, Twitch was a part of that production. He was a part of that culture. Now, I'm not saying that he had anything to do with promoting that culture of toxicity that was revealed about her show. But he still was in it. And we don't know what kind of effect that had on him. It's just very curious that he would take his own life in the same year that and not long after that show went off the air in the inauspicious way that it did. And so I'm not starting any kind of conspiracy theories or anything like that. We don't know why. Now, from what I understand, he did leave a note saying that he felt like he could no longer go on. I know that feeling. I do know that feeling. There are days when you just feel like I just cannot take it anymore. And, if you are feeling that way and you're having thoughts of suicide, please call the National Suicide Hotline um, and get some help because, there is help. There are people who care. Um, and you don't have to take that route. But, again, I just, reread that BuzzFeed article. And there's just the context. And again, people can do a good job at hiding their hurt. Some people are just very good. And there are other people like me who live their that who keep their feelings on their shoulders. That I'm one of those people. Okay, so if I'm not happy, you're gonna definitely know it. Okay, but I think he did a lot of grinning and bearing it, and fame and fortune comes with this cost. We only see the glamour side of that, and a lot of us, wish, you know, we were in that position, but you know what? You have no idea. And I mean, and the stories that, we have heard about the horrors of being in Hollywood, that entire industry is dysfunctional. It really is. It's dysfunctional, and people are chasing fame and fortune, and he achieved it probably in ways that he never imagined that he would, and it looks like he had it all. But apparently he didn't. And there is nothing more precious than your physical and mental health. No money in the world can substitute for that. And so, I think that what we need to do is, because unfortunately people have short memories, take a step back and look at what this year revealed about the Ellen DeGeneres show, and think about that whole presentation, that whole representation of being kind and giveness, and giving and compassion and the whole 9 yards. I mean, watching this man literally dance his ass off, you know, for every show. I mean, bringing that joy, that, entertainment value to all of us. And I mean, it is true. He was such a bundle of sunshine. But there was a dark cloud. And I think when you read that BuzzFeed article, and then when you read, there is, from what I understand, there was a Twitter feed. I'm no longer on Twitter. And that was before Elon Musk took over. But I don't do social media like that. But there was even a Twitter feed where people, were saying, yeah, I experienced this. Um, I experienced, demoralization, dehumanization at the Ellen DeGeneres show. But let me just say this, because this is not just, an Ellen DeGeneres problem. We are in a time in this country, we were supposedly, in a reckoning after the George Floyd murder. But that is pretty much worn off now. The George Floyd effect is pretty much worn off, and people just want to, like with the COVID pandemic, which is still going on, but people are just tired and they want to move on from it. So people are tired of talking about racism. Now, let me be clear: those of us who endure, racism, sexism, ableism, ageism, and all these other isms, we are not only tired of having to talk about it, we're tired of having to live it. We are very tired of having to live it. Okay. So, this whole issue of, dismantling oppression. We need to dismantle oppression. Well, yes, we do. But the problem is that so many of the oppressed are in bed with the oppressor, or have actually become the oppressor themselves. Listen, Ellen DeGeneres is a gay woman who almost lost her career for coming out back in 1997. her show was canceled, you know, and as reports say, her phone didn't ring for 3 years. But she got a second chance. And, the thing about it is that you can't bitch and moan about inequality, about discrimination, but then practice it yourself. It's as I tell black people, don't complain about what white folk do and then do what white folk do. That's not right. You can't do that. Oh, I mean, you can, but it's hypocritical. So, to, the people of color, you know, the folks of the LGBTQ plus community and, the working class, all of these groups who are marginalized, who are dehumanized, you're going to have to practice what you preach. So there should not have been the type of toxicity at the Ellen DeGeneres show or any other show that has the name and that is led by a person from an underrepresented community, because you're saying that you are about dismantling oppression. So how is it that this doesn't happen? Your show, your company, whatever it is that you're doing, that you're in charge of, should look very different than the mainstream. And if it doesn't, then you need to check yourself. Don't come, to me, and I know people get upset at me because, yes, I am going to talk about white supremacy and, the issues of racism and the whole 9 yards. But I'm going to also talk about internalized racism because I have had to put up with more crap. In fact, I'm going to sit here and say it right now. My worst boss was a black woman. My worst boss was a black woman. So don't tell me that we need to dismantle oppression when you are repeating this yourselves. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop here. Okay. But, the truth of the matter is that, those of us who are, in these marginalized communities, white racism is not the only problem black folk have. And I've lived long enough. I'm in my 6th decade. And I have lived long enough to see black people. Oh, let me tell you, nobody can do you. Nobody can do you, screw over you like another black person, like another woman. So then the very people that you think are your natural allies, not so. And so Twitch was a part of a community that was not healthy. It just was not healthy. Why? Again, I'm not saying that anything happened at the Ellen DeGeneres show that caused this man to take his own life. What I am saying is that that show was an illusion, as it was pointed out, and that everybody wasn't so kind, and all the smiles and the laughter and stuff that we saw, that we were entertained by, and that was so heartwarming, all of that wasn't real. And so we don't know why Twitch would do something so desperate and devastating as this. But we need to get beyond his public persona and reckon with the fact that everybody who's smiling and dancing is not happy. Pray for his wife, his children, his parents, grandparents, all who loved him. I mean, we as fans are hurting deeply, but those people are devastated. That family is devastated. And this time of the year is so difficult for so many people. People, let's really stop talking about being kind, being compassionate, loving people. Let's stop talking about it and be about it and do it in spirit and in truth. God bless you all. Much love. Dr. Erica L. Coleman signing off.